This is the Vekoma Boomerang. It's one of the most produced roller coasters in the world today. What is often seen as a simple ride is actually quite complex, with lots of interesting processes taking place behind the scenes during every ride cycle. Today we're going to take a deep dive into this roller coaster that's probably at a park near you, or perhaps even on top of a building down the street. The first Vekoma Boomerang was constructed in 1982 in Mexico but did not open to the public until 1984. The original ride operated for 2 years in Puebla, Mexico, before being moved to Six Flags Mexico, where it still operates today. 3 other boomerangs opened in 1984, and more were constructed in the following years. Today, over 50 boomerang coasters operate around the world, and that's not counting newer variations of the model. When the first boomerang was constructed, it utilized trains built and designed by Aerodynamics. At the time, Aero and Vekoma partnered to build roller coasters, as Vekoma had limited experience building rides, and Aero wanted to build more roller coasters in an international market. Eventually, the partnership dissolved and Vekoma designed and constructed their own trains. These trains have been changed multiple times, and the newest of these trains feature vest restraints that eliminate the possibility of headbanging. Boomerang layouts are 935 feet long and 116 feet tall. The control system divides the track into 2 sections, A and B, that are centered around 2 groups of brakes. Track A includes Lift 1, the station, and the first half of the Cobra Roll. Track B includes the second half of the Cobra Roll, the Loop, and Lift 2. Each lift has a different mechanism to lift the train up the 45-degree incline. Lift 1 uses a cable with a pickup car that attaches to the back of the train, and Lift 2 uses a chain lift with chain trough that's raised and lowered. In between Lift 2 and the Loop area are a set of brakes that can stop a train if it fails to engage with Lift 2. These brakes position the train so it can be winched back onto Lift 2 in the event that a train fails to engage with the lift. Placed at the top of Lift 2 is said winch that can rescue a valley train. The winch can only be used when the train is empty. Both sets of brakes open and close multiple times during a ride cycle in an effort to control the train in the event of a mechanical issue. The brakes on boomerangs feature 3 settings, these being open, low pressure closed, and high pressure closed. Low pressure closed is used when the train needs to be slowed down but not stopped immediately. You can see them used here as the train makes the first slowdown in the station. High pressure closed stops the train and holds it in place. It's used during loading and unloading, as well as evacuations from the brakes following the loop, and when the train is finally stopped in the station. Additional brakes are found at the top of Lift 1, which serve the purpose of holding the pickup car in place. When the first boomerangs were built, their cross ties were evenly spread throughout the layout. Newer boomerangs have more cross ties in the more intense, high-stress sections of the ride to help reduce wear and tear. Other upgrades have been made on some boomerangs throughout the years to help the rides operate more smoothly and reliably, such as the addition of magnetic brakes and improved control systems with seat sensors to verify that all seats are locked before dispatching a train. Boomerangs are capable of dispatching a train every 110 seconds according to the ride's manual, with a theoretical capacity of 32 cycles or 896 riders per hour, although this will vary from boomerang to boomerang due to lift speeds. So what all happens during a normal ride cycle on a boomerang? First, riders step into the train and pull down their restraint. These restraints use a hydraulic locking mechanism that locks in a variable position. The restraints are unlocked using an electrical contactor that raises under the train. When it's time to lock the restraints, the contactor drops away, and the hydraulic solenoids on the restraints lock into place. The restraint solenoids are unable to unlock without an electrical connection. Some boomerangs use ratcheting restraints, which use a physical bar raising and lowering in the station to unlock. These can be unlocked manually by the use of pedals on the outside of the train if needed. While riders are boarding and operators are checking their restraints, the pickup car descends Lift 1 and locks onto the train. The pickup car uses a circular hook that comes into contact with an axle on the back of the train. The circular hook attaches to the axle and spins upward to lock into it. Finally, it's held in place by a hammer-like latch that drops into the open gap of the circular hook and secures it into place. What's shown here is a simplified version. To learn more about this process, check out this video by Ryan the Ride Mechanic. Once all restraint checks are complete and all riders and operators are in a safe area, an operator on the platform will press the Ready for Dispatch button on the auxiliary panel in conjunction with the Dispatch button on the main control panel. The station brakes open and the train begins ascending backwards out of the station and up lift 1, being pulled by the pickup car, which is attached to a winch at the base of lift 1. The station brakes close after the train passes a proximity sensor showing that it's left the station. It's pulled to a height of around 100 feet above the ground. Near the top of lift 1, the train passes another proximity sensor that reopens the station brakes and sends an additional command to open the brakes between the loop and lift 2, turn on the chain lift on lift 2, and ensure it's in the raised position. The pickup car then rolls over a ramp-shaped section of steel on the track, which engages with the pickup car, releasing the hammer lock, holding the circular hook in place. The brakes below the pickup car engage to hold it in place as the weight of the train pulls the circular hook until it releases the train into the layout. Riders fall down the 45-degree drop they just ascended and fly through the station at around 47 miles per hour. The train cruises into the first element of the ride, the Cobra Roll, and experiences strong positive Gs throughout. This continues into the vertical loop and through the open brakes at the bottom of lift 2. After completing the vertical loop, the train ascends up lift 2. The train passes a proximity sensor near the bottom of lift 2, which closes the brakes at the base of the lift in order to catch a train if it fails to engage with said lift. Instead of featuring a cable with a pickup car, the train on lift 2 engages with a chain lift that is slowly moving up the hill. On the bottom of car 4 is a steel chain dog that slides into the gaps of the chain. The engagement results in a jolt as the weight of the train falls onto the chain. Riders are carried up a short distance, passing a proximity sensor near the top of lift 2, which reopens the closed brakes between the loop and lift 2 and closes the brakes in the station. Finally, the ascending train passes another proximity sensor at the top of lift 2, which immediately retracts the entire chain trough. The train falls down lift 2 and travels backwards into the most intense moment of the ride. Riders experience upwards of 5 Gs as they go through the loop backwards. The intense forces continue through the Cobra Roll before the train is slowed down in the station by the brake fin under the train sliding against the closed brakes. Some boomerangs feature magnetic eddy current brakes in the station that provide a smoother slowdown and stop, but these versions still feature one mechanical brake in the station, as magnetic brakes cannot stop a train on their own. The train coasts partially up lift 1 before being stopped on most versions of the ride with mechanical brakes. Its brakes are then slowly released and the train enters the station and is parked in the starting position. Once parked, restraints are unlocked. In our boomerang's case, by an electrical contactor raising and connecting with a contact under the train. At this time, the boomerang's control system begins to lower the pickup car back to the ride's train to reset for the next ride cycle. The overall ride experience has differing opinions among the general public and roller coaster enthusiasts alike. Some find the ride experience to be exciting, while others think its intense experience can be uncomfortable. Whether you love them or hate them, the Vekoma Boomerang roller coaster remains a popular attraction for parks big and small. Out of over 50 installations around the world, only one of them has been demolished as of early 2025, which was Zydeco Scream at Six Flags New Orleans. Most parks who are looking to retire their boomerang are able to sell and relocate them. A good example is the Knott's Berry Farm Boomerang, which now operates on top of a building in Indonesia. Their compact size and appealing ride experience make them a must-have attraction, and they continue to stand the test of time. The oldest boomerangs are now over 40 years old and have outlived many notable rides by larger manufacturers. It's extremely unlikely these rides will disappear anytime soon, with parks continuing to invest in them with updated trains, brakes, and control systems, and many still being built as recently as 2019. Hopefully you've learned something new and can appreciate all that goes on behind the scenes when riding one of these rides. If you enjoyed this video, please feel free to like and subscribe so that this video appears over others in the YouTube algorithm. As always, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.